With rare April weather, we see how UI students react.
And later, we'll show you how Iowa students are catching on to the latest trend.
We have your highlights from Iowa Volleyball's game against Iowa State, and we have the premiere of Beyond the Swarm. All that and more is coming up in sports.
I got up close and personal with the extended winter, so find out more in this week's weather.
All that and more coming up on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere, it's all starting now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Christopher Cervantes.
And I'm Alexis Tanzi. The freshman who died at a fraternity formal last year is still making an impact on the University of Iowa community. On Sunday, a football tournament at Hubbard Park will be held in honor of Camille Joukowsky. The event is called KJ1 Flag Football. The name was chosen after Camille's initials and his high school jersey number. The tournament will raise money for a scholarship in honor of Joukowsky. All proceeds will go towards the scholarship. So far, $5,000 has been raised.
Officials are still looking for a LaPorte City teen who has been missing for over a week. 16-year-old Jake Wilson is autistic and was last seen heading to a nearby creek. Officials say they are scaling back their search. Attention is now focused on the investigation aspect of Wilson's disappearance.
Yesterday, UI neuroscience researchers presented discoveries at the 2018 Health Sciences Research Week Faculty TED Talks, from treating symptoms of Parkinson's to new information on Huntington's disease, expressing that their discoveries are only scratching the surface of how the brain works and why it doesn't. Samuel Young, an associate professor of anatomy and cell biology, said, quote, "The real challenge that we face in the neuroscience field is how do we take our research and turn it into discovery," end quote. After comparing mice genetically altered to have Parkinson's-like symptoms, Nandakumar Naranyan, assistant professor of neurology at UI Carver College of Medicine, discovered that the rodents who performed worse on reflex speed tasks also suffered from severe delta brainwave disruptions. After replicating this finding in humans, he discovered that the brain implants could alleviate cognitive dysfunction in patients with Parkinson's disease.
Alexis, I gotta say, that is amazing and cool stuff happening here, right here on campus.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. But you know what isn't cool? The snow that we've been having in April.
I hate to disagree with you right there, but it is technically cool to the touch. Dad jokes aside, let's toss over to Jahisha Thomas in the weather studio, where she sees how the Hawkeyes have been reacting to this April snow.
Yes, guys, the weather is pretty awful for what is considered to be April Springs. So I got right into the action to see what the citizens of Iowa City feel about this extended winter. Iowa City has been recognized as a cold state. Known for being on the Midwestern line, we have come to adapt to the seasonal change in weather and bracing ourselves for when it gets cold, it gets brutal. However, I'm pretty sure no one expected to be wrapped up in winter clothes in the middle of April. I took to the Iowa streets to get some opinions about what they think about the weather today. Excuse me, sir.
Hi, what's up?
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. What do you think about today's Iowa City weather?
Well, I think it's pretty miserable right now because it's April and it was snowing yesterday, so I really miss last year.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
Stay warm. I'm here with Austin Leitz, a student at the university. Tell me, Austin, how has the weather impacted you as a student?
Well, I've had to drive my car more to class, and that means, I gotta find parking, I gotta pay for parking, so it's been a little rough, so I hope it starts to clear up in the next couple of weeks.
Fingers crossed, my man. Thank you so much. I'm here with student Kylie Welsh. Kylie, tell me how the weather has made you feel.
Very annoyed.
Short and sweet. Thank you very much. So it seems like the general consensus is that the weather is bloody awful. Hopefully it seems to pick up in the near future, but it seems that all we know is snow. Reporting from the icy streets in Iowa City, this is Jahisha Thomas with DITV News. So it looks like my wish for no more snow was abruptly ignored, and it seems like the dreary weather seems only to be strung out this week. Nevertheless, this day is a sunny day, as we get to briefly enjoy that 50 degrees before we start associating with that chilly 33-degree breeze at night, Then looking at our extended forecast, wrap up warm everybody because it's going to be a cold one. It's in fact a gloomy day as we experience that rain and brutal wind combination with a rough 40 degrees before dropping to an unfriendly 30 degrees in the evening. Thursday improves a fraction as we claw our way back into that 50-degree weather, but only to return to a chilly low 30s in the evening. Friday again, we keep on climbing as we see a healthier mid-50s before falling to a better 37 degrees in the evening. Then as we glide on into the weekend, we see more of those spring showers as we stay at that mid-50s before decreasing to the high 30s. And then as we close out the week, Sunday is clearly our best day as we grace that 60-degree weather for a moment before heading off the week with, again, those high 30s. So clearly patience is key when it comes to Iowa weather, but it seems that many of ours is wearing thin. So bring on that heat and quick because we definitely deserve it. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Jahisha, and no matter what the weather is, you always seem to brighten my day. Esports have been a trend that has been increasing in popularity on TV. Henry Wimber has a story on what the University of Iowa is doing to catch on to the hype.
In a frenzy of sweat, computer screens, and very loud curse words, the Esports at Iowa Club holds one of their gaming parties. The club is a group where college students can talk, play, and compete with others that have their favorite hobbies in common.
Started with 4 people. Last year, the last meeting, we had 4 people. It was me and my executive team. Our first meeting this semester, we had 45, 50 in our auditorium. So we're growing rapidly.
The esports group at Iowa holds plenty of events that have a variety of games and gamers. But that being said, it's not always fun and games over here. Sometimes it gets competitive.
I've always enjoyed doing competitive because it's that aspect of like being on a more professional stage and trying to do good at it, to prove yourself. The Overwatch team especially, we try to like stay together. We practice several times a week. We play just friendly games together.
The Esports at Iowa Club has teams that compete against other schools regularly, and they've got even bigger things in mind for the future.
Pretty much our goal is to turn our clubs into programs. So that would mean there would be hired staff from the university to actually coach, so there would be hired coaching, stuff like that. Like the program of esports would be competitive enough to where the university would put it under payroll.
To learn more or get involved with the esports group at Iowa, visit their Facebook page or their Discord. And from Iowa City, this is Henry Wimber.
Looks like a lot of fun. Former University of Iowa student and wrestler Trevor Graves has pleaded guilty to the transmission of a command to damage a protected computer. Graves was arrested in October 2017. According to the plea agreement, Graves used the Iowa Courses Online System, or ICON, to manually change grades for himself and 5 other students. Graves is scheduled for a sentencing hearing in Davenport in August. Chris, that is just really unfortunate news for a former Hawkeye athlete.
Oh, truly indeed. We're all thinking about it here, and I can't help but wonder what our very own Lucy Rodine has to think about it. Lucy, what do you have to say?
Yeah, guys, that's some unfortunate news outside of the wrestling program. But we have better news in sports. Spring volleyball is back as they were back in action at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Friday night when they took on in-state rival Iowa State in a best-of-5 match. The Hawks got off to a strong start in Game 1, building up a quick 5-1 lead. But the Cyclones' powerful offense was able to quickly get back in it, tying up the game 6-6. After that, it was a consistent back-and-forth match, but Iowa State would fight their way to take the lead, taking the Game 1 25-19. The second set saw much of the same back-and-forth action, but the Clones hitting would once again put them on top after being all tied up 21-21. Iowa State would take over and close out on Game 2 in consecutive kills, taking the game 25-23. It was a different story in the third set as the Hawks would not go away easy. After getting out to a 10-7 lead, Iowa would break it wide open with the help of Megan Bezerio's strong serving that the Cyclone defense could not handle. Iowa took the third set 25-17, but that's the only set the Hawks would take. However, Iowa State found a way to come out on top. They took the fourth set and won the match 3-1. And here is what Iowa's head coach Von Szymanski had to say following the game.
Our group's growing, they're doing a great job, and we have so few bodies that it's really a time for them to expand what their role is, expand their individual capabilities, but most importantly work together and expand who they are as a team.
The Hawks will have another in-state rivalry match this Saturday when they take on UNI at Carver. And we are just 2 weeks out from the NFL draft, so DITV Sports has a new series called Beyond the Swarm, hosted by our very own Mary-Kate Harrion, and it premieres today and will air every morning leading up to the draft. Each episode, we will sit down with a former Hawkeye to talk about their time at Iowa and what is next for their futures. Beyond the Swarm Episode 1 sits down with former Iowa linebacker Bo Bauer. Take a look.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for sitting down with us. I'm with former Iowa linebacker Bo Bauer. So we're going to start off kind of from the beginning, talk about your college recruiting process a little bit. You were a walk-on, but you had a couple offers. So just talk about that whole time that you were trying to decide where to go.
Yeah, so basically, like you said, I had a scholarship offer at the University of Northern Iowa, and I committed there right away. Didn't really have any looks from any other places, didn't really care too much. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of knew I wanted to go there off the bat because, I mean, Iowa wasn't really talking to me or anything. Yeah. And then they started giving me some looks and talking to me and calling me, and in the end, they really pressured me to come here and walk on, and I decided to, being an Eastern Iowa guy living here in Iowa City, West Branch area my whole life, and it was just kind of a no-brainer at that time.
All this training for Pro Day that you guys had on Monday, just talk about, you stayed here and trained, am I correct? And then, so just talk about that whole process, training with Coach Doyle. Everyone preaches about Coach Doyle, so talk about that process. Yeah,
I mean, the process was a long one. It was a long training phase, and finally get a little time off now, which is really nice. But it was well worth it. Doyle's the best in the business, and he does things that a lot of coaches don't, and you don't even have to really guess about it. You can look at the stats and look at the facts and look at the numbers and the times, and they're all really good for almost everybody on the team, or the people that train here too. And so it's just one of those deals where you come into work every day and he gives you, he guides you and trains you hard, and you show up in Pro Day and do your best. And he does, physical aspect and the mental aspect of, coming in here and just getting ready for all the scouts to be in here and coaches and stuff, and it was really cool. So I enjoyed it.
Pro Day. Yep. Talk about just how you did, and then being back here in Iowa, obviously not in Kinnick, but still with your guys one last time.
Yeah, I mean, we got about a month left now, like all the seniors and stuff, and or the people that are training here for the NFL. And Pro Day was good. I did well. You always look back and think you can do better, right? Because you know what times you're shooting for, and sometimes you fall short, but it was good. I think everybody would say that they did decently well. And then, just one more month left with the boys, and we're just going to take it one step at a time, and then hopefully we won't be here in May.
And then I know it's very far off for you, but life after football, it's crazy to probably think about that, but do you have any plans or anything that you would like to do after life after football?
I have no idea. I have ideas, I guess you could say, but that's always kind of in the back of your mind too, and it's kind of a scary thought because all you've been doing is football your whole life. I mean, you have all the seniors, they have their degrees and everything, and I think we have an idea of what we want to do. It's just crazy to think about not doing it with football. Yeah. So, life after, I'm just gonna get a big boy job and go on from there, I guess, if it doesn't work out.
Well, thank you for sitting down with us. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished here at Iowa, and good luck with everything in the future.
You can find the full version of Episode 1 of Beyond the Swarm with Bo Bauer on our Daily Iowan YouTube page. Come back tomorrow for Episodes 2 and 3 of Beyond the Swarm, where we sit down with former Iowa wide receiver Matt Vandenberg and former Iowa running backs James Butler. And we'll also hear from Brian Ferentz and Phil Parker on how Iowa football is preparing for their spring game on Friday. Guys at the desk, back to you.
And that's all we have for you on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all the latest news between Monday and Friday.
If that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on Stands Now.
For DITV, I'm Christopher Cervantes.
And I'm Alexis Tanzi. Have a good day, Iowa City. Until next time.